The moment the security guard pointed across the glass lobby and casually said, "Your wife usually comes in with that man," my heart felt like it had stopped beating. I stood frozen outside a towering office building in Chicago, holding a small gift bag and a handwritten note I had spent half the night preparing. My wife, Victoria, was one of the youngest CEOs in the city, a woman who had worked tirelessly to build her company from the ground up. We had been married for 8 years, and although her career often demanded long hours, I had always trusted her completely. Yet in that single moment, watching an unfamiliar man step out of a luxury car while the guard nodded toward him, a storm of doubt began raging inside me. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories. My name is Nathan, and until that afternoon, I believed I knew exactly what my life looked like. I taught history at a local high school, lived in a modest suburban home, and spent my evenings waiting for my wife to return from meetings and business trips. Victoria and I had met years earlier when neither of us had much money. We dreamed together, struggled together, and celebrated every small victory together. But success changes schedules, and schedules sometimes create distance. Over the previous year, Victoria had become busier than ever. There were early flights, late dinners with clients, and countless weekends spent reviewing reports. I never complained because I knew how hard she had worked to reach her position. Still, there were nights when I sat alone at the dinner table wondering whether we were slowly drifting apart without realizing it. That morning had been our anniversary. Victoria had left before sunrise for an important meeting. She apologized for missing breakfast and promised we would celebrate later. I smiled and told her not to worry, but deep down I wanted to do something special. So after finishing work, I bought her favorite flowers, a small silver bracelet, and drove downtown to surprise her. Now I stood in front of her office building questioning everything. The security guard's words echoed repeatedly in my mind. The man he pointed at looked confident and successful. He walked through the entrance as if he belonged there. My imagination immediately began creating stories that had no evidence behind them. Every missed dinner, every cancelled date, every late-night phone call suddenly seemed suspicious. For nearly 20 minutes, I sat alone in the lobby, wrestling with emotions I had never experienced before. Hurt, fear, confusion, and jealousy blended into something heavy and painful. I considered leaving. Part of me didn't want to know the truth. Then something unexpected happened. The same man returned to the lobby pushing a wheelchair. In the wheelchair sat an elderly woman with silver hair and a warm smile. The man carefully adjusted her blanket before helping her toward an elevator. A few moments later, Victoria stepped out of a conference room and rushed toward them. Instead of what my fears had imagined, I witnessed something completely different. Victoria knelt beside the elderly woman, held her hands, and smiled through tears. Confused, I followed at a respectful distance until one of Victoria's assistants recognized me and invited me upstairs. What I learned that afternoon changed me forever. Months earlier, Victoria had quietly launched a charitable foundation through her company. She never told me because she wanted the project to succeed before making it public. The elderly woman was named Margaret. Years ago, Margaret had been a receptionist working 2 jobs while raising her grandson alone. That grandson was the very man I had seen entering the building. When Victoria was a struggling college student with no money, Margaret had often given her free meals, encouragement, and a place to study after work. Those acts of kindness had helped Victoria survive one of the hardest periods of her life. Now Margaret was facing serious financial difficulties after medical expenses consumed her savings. The reason Victoria had been working so many late nights wasn't because she was pulling away from our marriage. She had been secretly organizing resources, donations, and support programs for dozens of families, including Margaret's. The grandson had simply become one of the foundation's coordinators. As I listened, shame washed over me. I had allowed fear to replace trust. While I was building imaginary stories, my wife had been quietly changing lives. Victoria finally noticed me standing in the doorway. The surprise on her face quickly turned into tears when she saw the flowers. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. We simply embraced in the middle of the office while employees smiled around us. That evening, she showed me photographs, letters, and plans for the foundation. I learned about families receiving housing assistance, students earning scholarships, and elderly residents getting support they desperately needed. She had carried the burden alone because she wanted the results to speak before the announcement. As the sun set over Chicago's skyline, I realized something important. Trust isn't built during easy seasons. It's proven during moments when fear tempts us to believe the worst. Real love requires patience, understanding, and faith in the character of the people we care about. Before this story ends, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and tell us, have you ever misunderstood someone you loved, only to discover a much deeper truth later? A few weeks later, Victoria publicly launched the foundation. The event attracted local leaders, business owners, teachers, and community members. But the most meaningful moment came when Margaret stood before the crowd and shared how one act of kindness had traveled through the years and returned when she needed it most. That day reminded me that goodness has a way of coming full circle. A small gesture can become a life-changing blessing decades later. And sometimes, the people we think are growing distant are actually carrying burdens and responsibilities we simply cannot see. If this story touched your heart, inspired you, or reminded you of the power of trust and compassion, please like the video, share it with someone special, and subscribe for more uplifting stories. Your support helps these messages reach more people who may need hope today. As I drove home beside Victoria that night, I looked at the woman I had fallen in love with years earlier and realized something beautiful. Success had changed many things in our lives, but it hadn't changed her heart. And in a world where doubt can grow quickly, that discovery was the greatest anniversary gift I could ever receive.